There is something quietly unsettling about the way time moves. It doesn't make noise when it passes. It doesn't knock on your door to remind you that another day is gone. It simply slips by, unnoticed, like sand falling through your fingers. You wake up thinking you have time. You go about your day, believing there will always be another chance, another moment, another opportunity. But the truth is far more uncomfortable than that. Time is not waiting for you to be ready. It never has, and it never will. Think about how often you've told yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow feels safe. Tomorrow feels distant enough that you don't have to act today, but close enough that you don't feel like you're giving up. But tomorrow has a way of turning into next week, next month, next year. And before you even realize it, years have passed, and the life you once imagined for yourself begins to feel like something that belonged to someone else. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is not that we can't do something, it's that we can do it later. Every day you delay your goals, you are making a silent decision. You are choosing comfort over growth, ease over effort, distraction over purpose. It may not feel like a big choice in the moment, but these small decisions accumulate. They shape your life in ways you don't notice until it's too late to go back. The book you never started writing, the skill you never learned, the conversation you avoided having. These things don't disappear. They linger quietly in the background of your life, becoming heavier with time. There is also something deeply personal about the way we treat time when it comes to relationships. We assume the people we care about will always be there. We postpone visits, delay apologies, and hold back words that need to be spoken. I'll call them later. I'll make time next week. I'll fix this when things calm down. But life doesn't always give us that chance. There are moments when later never comes, and what's left behind is regret. Regret is heavy because it carries the weight of something that could have been different if only we had acted sooner. You might think you have plenty of time because you are young, or because things feel stable, or because nothing drastic has happened yet. But time doesn't measure itself based on how ready you feel. It moves forward regardless of your plans, your fears, or your excuses. It doesn't slow down when you hesitate, and it doesn't pause when you doubt yourself. It just keeps going, steady and unstoppable. There is a quiet urgency in realizing this. Not a panic, but a clarity. A moment where you begin to see your life not as something endless, but as something limited and valuable. When you truly understand that your time is not guaranteed, your priorities begin to shift. The things that once seemed important, endless scrolling, meaningless arguments, procrastination, start to lose their grip on you. And the things that truly matter, your goals, your relationships, your growth, become impossible to ignore. Living intentionally doesn't mean you have to rush through life or constantly chase productivity. It means being aware. It means recognizing that every moment has value and choosing how you spend it with purpose. It means asking yourself honest questions. Am I using my time in a way that aligns with who I want to become? Am I investing in the things that truly matter to me? Or am I simply passing time, hoping something will change on its own? The truth is, nothing changes on its own. Time passes, whether you act or not. And if you don't take control of your choices, your habits will decide your future for you. It's easy to think that change requires a perfect moment, the right circumstances, or a sudden burst of motivation. But that moment rarely comes. Change begins in the ordinary moments, in the small decisions you make every day. It begins when you decide to start, even when you don't feel ready. It begins when you take responsibility for your time, instead of letting it slip away unnoticed. It begins when you stop waiting for permission and realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the action you keep postponing. There is a certain discomfort in confronting this truth. It forces you to face the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It forces you to acknowledge the time you've already lost, the opportunities you didn't take, the moments you let pass. But that discomfort is not something to avoid, it is something to use. It is a signal that something needs to change. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect plan or a guaranteed outcome. What you need is the willingness to act now in this moment, because this moment is the only thing you truly have. The past is already gone and the future is uncertain. The only place where change can happen is right here, right now. Imagine looking back on your life years from now. Imagine asking yourself whether you made the most of your time. Will you be able to say that you pursued your goals with intention, that you valued your relationships, that you lived fully? Or will you find yourself wishing you had done more, tried harder, started sooner? That future version of you is shaped by the choices you make today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Every small step you take, every action you choose, every moment you use intentionally, it all adds up. It all matters more than you think. Time is not your enemy, but it is not your friend either. It is neutral. It will give you exactly what you invest in it. If you waste it, it will quietly take opportunities away from you. If you use it wisely, it will reward you with growth, progress, and meaning. There is no dramatic moment where life suddenly begins. It is already happening. Right now, as you read these words, time is moving. Another minute is passing. Another opportunity to act, to change, to move forward is either being used or being lost. So the question is simple but not easy. What are you going to do with the time you have left? You don't need to change everything at once. You don't need to become a completely different person overnight. But you do need to stop pretending that you have unlimited time. Because you don't. None of us do. Start with one decision, one action, one moment of honesty with yourself. Reach out to someone you've been meaning to talk to. Take the first step toward a goal you've been postponing. Make a choice that your future self will thank you for. Because one day, whether you realize it or not, you will run out of some days. And when that day comes, the only thing that will matter is what you did with the time you were given. Time is slipping away faster than you think. The question is not whether it will continue to pass. It will. The question is whether you will finally choose to move with it, to use it, to make it count. And that choice is yours, right now. There comes a point in every person's life when the excuses begin to lose their power. For a long time, it can feel natural to point outward, to circumstances, to other people, to the past, and explain why things are the way they are. It feels reasonable. Sometimes it even feels justified. After all, no one chooses where they are born, the environment they grow up in, or the challenges they are handed early in life. These things shape us, influence us, and in many ways, limit us. But there is a quiet, undeniable truth that eventually surfaces. No matter how much the past has shaped you, it does not have to define you forever. At some point, your life becomes your responsibility, not because everything that happened to you was fair, and not because you had control over all the events that brought you here, but because you are the only one who can decide what happens next. This realization is not always comforting. In fact, it can feel heavy. It removes the safety net of blame. It takes away the ability to say, it's not my fault, so there's nothing I can do. And once that is gone, you are left with something both challenging and powerful: ownership. Blaming others can feel like relief in the moment. It gives you a reason for your situation without requiring you to change it. If it's someone else's fault, then you don't have to take action. If it's the result of bad luck, then you can convince yourself that nothing could have been done differently. But this way of thinking comes with a hidden cost. It keeps you stuck. It quietly hands over control of your life to forces outside of you. And when you give up control, you also give up the ability to create something better. Responsibility, on the other hand, is uncomfortable because it demands action. It forces you to look at your life honestly and ask difficult questions. What am I doing that is holding me back? What habits have I allowed to take root? What decisions have I avoided making? These questions don't always have easy answers, and they don't always feel good to confront, but they are necessary if you want your life to change. There is a difference between acknowledging your past and being controlled by it. Your experiences matter. Your struggles matter. They are part of your story, but they are not the final chapter. Too often, people carry their past like a permanent label, something that limits what they believe is possible for them. They tell themselves, "This is just how things are for me," or "People like me don't succeed in that way." And without realizing it, they build a mental barrier that keeps them from even trying. Accepting responsibility breaks that barrier. It shifts your focus from what has happened to what can happen. It moves your attention from problems to possibilities. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin to ask, "What can I do with what I have?" That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. It turns you from a passive participant in your life into an active one. This does not mean ignoring the reality of challenges. Some people start with more advantages than others. Some face obstacles that are harder, heavier, and more persistent. Responsibility does not deny these differences. It simply refuses to let them be the final answer. It says that no matter how difficult your starting point is, you still have the ability to move forward, step by step, decision by decision. Your choices, no matter how small they seem, are shaping your life every day. The way you spend your time, the way you respond to setbacks, the effort you put into your goals, the discipline you practice when motivation fades, these things matter more than you think. It is easy to underestimate the power of small actions because their results are not immediate. But over time, they compound, they create patterns, and those patterns create outcomes. Discipline is one of the clearest expressions of responsibility. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It is showing up consistently, even when progress feels slow or invisible. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about making the right choice, often enough that it begins to shape your identity. Mindset plays a crucial role in this process. The way you think about yourself and your situation influences the actions you take. If you believe that your efforts won't make a difference, you are less likely to try. If you believe that failure defines you, you are more likely to give up. But if you see challenges as opportunities to learn and setbacks as part of the process, you begin to approach life differently. You become more resilient. You become more willing to take risks. And over time, those qualities lead to growth. Accepting responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It is not about guilt or self-criticism. It is about recognizing your ability to influence your future. It is about understanding that while you cannot control every outcome, you can control your response. And your response is often the most important factor in what happens next. There is a certain freedom that comes with this perspective. When you stop waiting for circumstances to change, you start looking for ways to create change yourself. When you stop expecting others to fix things for you, you begin to develop the skills and habits needed to improve your situation. It is not always easy, and it does not always happen quickly, but it is real, and it is within your reach. Many people spend years waiting for the right moment to take responsibility. They wait until things are less difficult, until they feel more confident, until they have more resources. But the truth is, the right moment rarely arrives. There will always be reasons to wait, always be uncertainties and risks. Responsibility begins not when everything is perfect, but when you decide that waiting is no longer an option. It begins when you take a step, no matter how small. It begins when you make a decision that aligns with the person you want to become. It begins when you stop asking for permission and start taking action. These moments may not feel dramatic, but they are powerful. They mark the point where your life starts to shift. Your future is not fixed. It is not something that has already been decided for you. It is something that is being shaped right now by the choices you are making and the habits you are building. Every day is an opportunity to move closer to the life you want or to drift further away from it. And while that may sound intimidating, it is also deeply empowering because it means that change is possible. It means that no matter where you are right now, you are not stuck there. It means that with effort, discipline, and the right mindset, you can create something better for yourself. Not instantly, and not without challenges, but gradually, step by step. There will be moments when it feels easier to fall back into old patterns. Moments when taking responsibility feels overwhelming, when progress seems slow, when doubt begins to creep in. In those moments, it is important to remember why you started. To remind yourself that the alternative, staying stuck, giving up control, letting life happen without direction, is far more limiting. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to take ownership of your life, one decision at a time, to recognize that while you may not have chosen your starting point, you have a say in where you go from here. And that is where true change begins. Not in grand, dramatic moments, but in quiet decisions, in the choice to try again after failure, in the decision to stay consistent when motivation fades, in the willingness to take responsibility even when it is difficult. Because at the end of the day, your life is the result of what you choose to do with what you have. And while you cannot change the past, you can shape the future. That power is already in your hands. The only question is whether you are ready to use it.